final series of exercises that we have on here are not only the most challenging, but they might almost be the most fun. These are called our wheelbarrow partner exercises. So I want to remind all the coaches, any exercise that you can perform with your feet, you can perform with your hands. And in the position of a wheelbarrow partner drill, you can do any drill as long as your athletes are strong enough to try it. We're going to show off our 3 favorites right now, but remember, coaches, this isn't for all your athletes in the beginning. Let them try it out and see who's strong enough, but don't push kids too far if they can't do it. The first thing is Brandon's going to get down in position. Bobby's going to hold his feet up in the air. So Brandon's got to still maintain a strong, tight core. Brandon is now going to walk one hand into each box forward, one at a time, passing through the ladder. This works great stability at the core, but also at the shoulders and the triceps. Place the athlete down softly, and then they're going to come back for the next exercise. The next exercise now gets a little bit more challenging. This one's one of the more difficult exercises that Bobby's going to perform. Brandon's going to hold his feet up, and now Bobby is going to actually perform bunny hops on the upper body. So this is a great plyometric activity for the upper body. Incredible strength that it takes. Brandon's got to hold and control and keep Bobby moving forward while he does that. So you want to talk about an exercise that's very, very difficult. That one is it. Now the final one, because we already said that the Icky Shuffle is one of everybody's most favorite exercises, well, why not try to perform the Icky Shuffle with the upper body? And that's what Brandon's going to do right now. So now he goes both in, one out, both in, one out, and then continues to move forward. So now he is doing the Icky Shuffle through the ladder. So again, those 3 exercises I think are fantastic, and it's just a reminder that the ladder is a vehicle or a tool for thousands of exercises. I hope you enjoyed a lot of the exercises that we showed off today, and most importantly, it's the theory or the concepts behind it. The postural cues, the technical cues, the different things that you should be looking for and making sure that your athletes have great performance. That's most important before you pick any drill out, and it's really going to ensure that you get the best results and make sure that most importantly, nobody gets hurt. So we look forward to bringing you great information throughout these Game Speed series, and I hope every coach enjoyed it, and we're looking to bring in more information to you over these next period of videos. I'm here to talk about the Game Speed hurdle. And what's interesting is the guys at Game Speed, we gave them a challenge. We said, hey, we utilize a lot of cones and different equipment to mark our lines and create all our drills, but the problem is this stuff hasn't been that durable. A lot of the equipment has fallen apart. A lot of it's too heavy or bulky. We can't store it. What can you put together for us that can really solve these problems? And what they've come together with is the Game Speed hurdle, which I'm here to talk about today. Now, one is they're stackable and they don't take up any space, which is what makes it a favorite of mine. I can get 15 or 20 of these, put these in a small spot, and really take advantage of what the guys did is they made this of such a durable material that when they designed this and showed it to us the first time, they made me really nervous. They said, look at it, you can do anything with it. You can bend it, you can crack it, you can jump on it, step the drills on this DVD. Again, we want to make sure that all the coaches are really following the postural cues, the technical cues, and we give you some common errors to look out for. All too often, just because you've set up the Game Speed hurdles, now coaches think that as long as the kids have gone through the drill or gone from hurdle A to hurdle B, the drill is complete. And that is not great coaching. Great coaching has an attention to detail. And those 3 words mean you've got to look at the technique, the postural cues, you've got to see how your athletes are performing it. So remember, these Game Speed hurdles are not just markers out on the field, they're tools or a vehicle to make sure that you're getting proper, perfect performance. Now with Brandon right here, we're going to do a lot of jumping drills today, a lot of hopping drills, but technique is critical. If you don't have the right landing skills, the right eccentric control, I don't want you moving further to other drills until you have it. So these become tools as assessment keys as well. So with Brandon right now, he's going to get down in the jumping position. So right here, I want to make sure that the shoulders are over the knee, they're over the ankle. But most importantly, when he jumps, and he jumps through, and then lands, I want to see soft landing like that, keeping the low back flat, hands back, shoulders over the knee, over the balls of the feet. You can stand up, Brent. This is the most important stuff that he needs to do here. So if I don't see proper landing technique, if I see the knees buckling in, if I see the ankles pronating, if I see the shoulder blades rolling forward, these are all cues that my athlete is either too weak, inflexible, or has improper technique, and I need to fix it. So coaches, why we put these DVDs together is not just to give you a lot of drills. We're putting them together to make sure that you're going to get proper, perfect performance. Now, besides hopping, there's also going to be some agility drills that we perform. That's what these hurdles are perfect for. But again, just because the athletes are running side to side or making it through the drill doesn't mean they did it right. We've got to hold ourselves to those 3 words, attention to detail. So to reiterate, so let's put Brandon in a side acceleration position. He's getting down, opposite arm, opposite leg. You can see that his center of gravity is now over his left leg or that side of the base of support. But when I say to switch, now he's still controlling that center of gravity. Weight is on the inside leg. There's still force on the outside plant leg. These are the positions that you're looking for when they move through this DVD. And that, if anybody looks at the Game Speed Agility DVD, a lot of this information is contained there. So what I want to make sure is, coaches, that you are looking, you have a model in your mind of what you want to see and the performance you want to see on every drill. And until the athletes can do that, you can't progress forward to other drills. I hope everybody has enjoyed this little segment on progressions, and we are going to now go into the drill section of this DVD. This exercise is just called the 2-foot plyo hop, forwards and backwards. So what Bobby Smith is going to do right here is all he's going to do is get in a set position, and in a second he's just going to jump forward and back, managing his center of gravity over the game speed hurdle, but also making sure that he's landing softly under control. Coaches, monitor the surfaces that you're jumping on and the number of ground contacts, because this can be very stressful on your athletes, as well as the body position. If body position starts falling apart, knees caving in, landings are too hard, it's time to shut that drill down, either get that athlete rested, stronger, or better technique. So he's going to show this off for about 5 or 10 jumps right here. Then you can pick up the speed a little bit. There we go. And good. So right there, depending on the speed, the amount or number that you're doing, these all change the intensity of the exercise. But right there, that can be an incredibly demanding exercise for athletes. So at the lowest level, some athletes might not even be able to perform that well. That's why we have 2 different heights of the hurdles. This is the 6-inch hurdle. We also have a 12-inch hurdle, which doubling the height is going to change a lot about the stresses on your athletes. So be aware of that. And this is a great exercise to just get the initial plyometrics and stretch, shorten cycle changed in your athletes. This exercise is called the sideways 2-foot jump. Now, what Brandon is going to do right here is, again, maintaining his center of gravity over the game speed hurdle. He's now going to be jumping side to side under control. So a while ago, we challenged the athlete forward and backward. Now we're going to challenge the athlete side to side. These exercises, again, they're more stressful than you think. So monitor the surface that you're on and the number of ground contacts. When we talk about intensity here too, we're going to show 2 different versions, where at first, if the athlete just gets the feet just barely getting over the hurdle, that's going to be one level of intensity, a little lower. What Brandon's also going to show off on this drill too, and we'll make him do this, is pull the feet all the way up under himself so he's actually coming down from a higher height, which can increase the stress. So coaches, make sure you're monitoring this when your athletes jump as well. The athlete's foot that's barely getting over the hurdle versus the athlete that's leaping over the hurdle, even though they've jumped over the same marker, there's two totally different events going on for that athlete. And now Brandon's going to show this off. And now if he pulls the feet way up, what you're going to see is now he's going to pull the feet way up under himself. It's going to make it more stressful. And good. So you can see right there, by pulling the feet up more, he's attaining much greater height. So his center of gravity is actually traveling much higher than passing over the hurdle much lower. So coaches, again, be aware of this stuff. This is what we're getting at. Just because the hurdles are out and everybody's going over it doesn't mean they're all going over it the same way. Know what you're looking for on the drill, ask your athletes to do it, and if they don't do it, demand that performance until you get it. Now with the plyometric drills using the game speed hurdles, you can also set up a number of them in a row, and there's a lot of exercises that you can perform here. Right now we're going to show two versions off. What Bobby's going to do is he's going to hop on both feet through the hurdle. So now, instead of just hopping forward and backward, now by him moving forward, he's got to change how he controls his center of gravity. His center of gravity actually has to stay in front of his feet while he's hopping, but then come back under center when he finishes the jump. Once he completes this, then Brandon's going to show how to make it even more difficult by performing this on one leg. So when you remove the base of support or you start to just perform a high loading exercise on just one leg instead of two, it's much more stressful. But in sport, you've got to spend time on one leg just as often as you do two. So you've got to train both of these modalities for performance and injury prevention. So Bobby's going to show off the double leg hops right now. And this is the single leg with Brandon. And controlling. So right there, showing control of it. If your athletes aren't showing control, they're caving in at either the back or the knees or the ankle. This is something as coaches we have to address. This is a great activity, again, for plyometric and developing the stretch, shorten cycle, but only if the athletes are performing it properly can you continue to do this and then move on to other drills. Now that we've got the game speed hurdles lined out, we're going to also show off now side jumps. So remember, it's not just about forward and backward. I think coaches sometimes get too caught up with every movement just being forward or backward, and we know that's not what happens all the time on the field. So we're going to show off three variations of the side jump, and I think it's important that coaches understand why. First, Bobby's going to show off two-footed jumps to the side. And this is something that happens, but oftentimes an athlete might have to land or jump into the air off of one foot, moving in a certain direction. We're going to show it off of both feet alternating. So Bobby's going to go through with 2 feet, then Brandon's going to go through the hurdles on his inside leg to the hurdle. Bobby's going to come back and jump through on his outside leg. So remember, coaches, make sure that you're stressing both legs, but then switching sides so that we're getting the entire body. What I fear sometimes is that athletes are much stronger, have kind of a leg they like to take off of, a leg that they like to land on. But in a sporting event, if they end up landing on that leg that doesn't have that motor program as well developed, that's where injuries can happen. Drills like this can make sure that that does not exist. Now we're going to show it off. Stick the landing at the end. Nice. Inside leg. Stick it. And the outside leg. Stick it. Good. So coaches, that is an excellent exercise. Again, not just performance. I'll keep harping on this. That is also pure injury prevention right there. The proprioception that you develop in the ankle, the foot, the knee, the hip, the low back, This is the critical stuff. This is why we train. And I think that is a fantastic exercise variation to throw in that I guarantee a lot of coaches aren't using this kind of stuff, but we've got to develop these baseline skills before we move on to the advanced exercises. This is a great one to try out. Throw it into your program. This series of hopping drills is a little more challenging because now, instead of just adding forward movement or sideways movement in, we're also adding rotation. So remember, motions take place in all the planes, the frontal plane, the sagittal plane, and the transverse plane, so we're fitting that in now because it's these rotational stresses that your athletes need to learn how to control. So we call these 90s and 180s. This becomes more challenging to control your center of gravity because now there's a lot of rotation that takes place, but these are the movements that take place on the sports field. It's our job to prepare our athletes as such. Soft landings. So these are fantastic exercises, and you can see that they become more demanding. The motor programs are more challenging, but the more motor vocabulary that an athlete has, when it comes time for them to call on a program, if they've got it, it's not just going to, again, lead to better performance, but it's going to really increase the chances that that motion does not lead to injury. This exercise is called alternating jumps, and what we're alternating right here is the height. So we have the 6-inch hurdle followed by a 12-inch hurdle, 6-inch hurdle, 12-inch hurdle, 6-inch hurdle. You can line these out as long as you like for the number of jumps that you want to perform. What you're looking for is that the athlete now tries to move through this quickly, but what's going to happen is the pattern is going to change because they're going to jump low, jump high, jump low, jump high, jump low, jump high. So it lets the athlete develop a little bit of skill in changing their motor program a little bit than always jumping the same height every time. We're going to show two variations of this. Bobby is going to do the forward jump with 2 feet, and then Brandon is going to perform the sideways jump with 2 feet just to demonstrate and show how the heights alternate and what the motor program looks like when they go through this drill. So right there, by changing height and changing the motor program, you're stimulating the athlete to now be ready for certain aspects on the field that may happen. So you've got to always be ready for different landings, changes of direction, but also changes in height. This is an excellent drill to do that. It mixes it up and not only makes it better for performance, but also keeps the kids' minds fresh and they have a little bit more fun. This next series is our run-through series where we're going to use the hurdles all in a row. This time we're choosing the 12-inch game speed hurdles. And what we're going to do is perform a series of different steps through the actual hurdles. Again, we're looking for perfect technique, so hands open, arms at 90 degrees, head up, chest up, head forward, pelvis in the right position, toes up, knees up. How we're gonna perform this is your athletes are gonna step 1 foot in between each hurdle for the first series. Then Bobby's gonna show off 2 steps, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then Brandon's gonna come back for 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now on the 3, the coaching point about that is, whatever foot you lead in with on one hurdle, the opposite side will lead in on the next hurdle. And then Bobby's gonna finish with 4 steps in between each hurdle. This is a great activity not just for running form, also cardiovascular conditioning, but it's a great exercise for foot speed and really changing that stretch, shorten cycle of the lower extremities. So here we go, Brandon's gonna start off with 1 foot each box. Now Bobby's gonna go 2. Brandon's coming back through now with the alternating 3 steps in each spot. Nice. And then now Bobby's gonna go with 4. And this is a fantastic exercise we use a lot here at the Parisi Speed School. And what I suggest is as you're performing this, you can perform this that the kids just run through, walk back, and just continue to perform 1 step, or 2 step, or 3 step, or you can put them all together like we just did and really turn it into a conditioning event too. Either way, still make sure that you're looking for perfect technique so that these hurdles are still used as a vehicle for technical prowess, not just to go through the drill. That will always not just make your athletes better, but it's going to make you a better coach. These exercises are called our sideways run-through series. And it's interesting where we've added one dimension to it where we perform it from 2 different angles. So what we're gonna do in a second is Brandon is gonna face in that direction and he's gonna actually pass through and run over each hurdle. As he does it, he's gonna use the inside leg or the leg facing the hurdle to move over each time. When Bobby performs it and when Bobby comes through it, he's gonna actually use his outside leg to pass through and then cross over. So almost like a crossover step. So what we're working on here is now we're using different motor patterns. We're gonna create a little more rotation in the hips, but we're doing everything laterally to control our center of gravity over our base of support. So with each drill, you're gonna take 2 steps in between each game speed hurdle. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So you're always gonna use the same pattern. You're just gonna lead in with different feet each time. Brandon's gonna show off the inside leg. Bobby's gonna show off the outside leg right now. So again, with these hurdles, they just give you an opportunity to really think outside the box. So, hey, we can move sideways, but now we can also move sideways with a crossover. These are all motor patterns that kids are gonna need out on the sports field. As I've said before, we might as well train them in the gym. This is another fantastic exercise and something I really recommend that everybody puts into their arsenal. This exercise is one of the more popular ones here at the Parisi Speed School. Once you've laid the game speed hurdles out, there are a number of different chutes. This is chute 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So any space in between a hurdle is considered a chute. How we perform this drill is Brandon is going to face sideways in a second. Whatever number I call out, so for instance, if I call out 2, Brandon is going to two-step into chute 2, two-step back to the original position, and I'm going to call another number out. Whatever number I call out, he goes to that chute and then returns all the way to the original position. We do this until then if I say go, then he turns and sprints all the way through for the final one. So it might be 4, he comes back. It might be 5, he comes back. And then go, and he turns and sprints. It's a lot of fun, and now we've added reaction into the game too. So now an athlete's got to react, be quick, and really move according to commands, which again is something that happens out on the sports field. So an awesome exercise, and I'll say this, depending on how you use it, it is also very, very cardiovascularly challenging. So it's a lot of fun, but also some way to get a great workout out of your kids. And now Brandon's going to show this one off right now. You ready? 4. 1, 2, go. So right there, awesome exercise. It builds on reaction. The athlete doesn't know what's coming next. They're starting to get tired. You got to make sure you're still getting the proper performance and the techniques that you want. But this is a great exercise. I guarantee your kids are going to love it. And it's going to be a great way to get them to work out harder and get better technique out of them without even them really knowing you're doing it. We've shown off a couple of different formations using the game speed hurdles today. We've had just a single hurdle out